Fall Anime 2022, probably one of the best seasons of anime. Mob Psycho Season 3, Jojo Part 6. We're also talking about a lot of great shows that came out. Eminence in Shadow, Uncle in Another World. We're talking about Beast Tamer as well, which I thought was going to be mid, but turned out to be really good. So let's get right into it. But first, we gotta talk about the garbage. Shinobi no Ittoki. Probably one of the most atrocious shows I've seen. It's literally the concept of JJK or Tokyo Ravens, and just, I don't know what they did. They made it average. They made it boring. How do you make ninjas boring? How? They did. It's literally the main character. So there's a main character in the show that's basically generic. And you think, oh, it's just Kirito, maybe self-insert, you know? No. This character is so bland, so boring, that it literally drags down the show. And he's on the screen with the most screen time. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. Because the second, like the main female character, is a really good character. She's strong, she has a great personality, and she does her job. And she has a great backstory. And the fact that she's tied to the show, she's like a part of this production and this story. It feels like Chizuru from Rent a Girlfriend, where you just feel bad that she's just a part of this story because it's so awful. It's so garbage. So I gave this like a 3 out of 10. I don't recommend it at all. If you really want a good show that's kind of along the same lines, I would watch Tokyo Ravens, but that's just me. Love flops. Now this show, it's a harem show. It started off great. I thought the premise was good. It was just, this guy needs to be betrothed to 5 awesome girls with different characteristics, different personalities, different upbringings, and something cool that makes them unique. And I thought this was like a really cool concept because it's just standard harem. You can't mess up standard harem, right? They messed it up. So what happened was, it started off great, and then halfway through, they have this twist. I don't want to spoil it, even though I don't recommend this show, but this twist kind of goes out of left field. They kind of hint at it at the beginning, but it's mostly out of left field, and it just makes you feel sad. And the way they started going, the direction they started to go after, like the episode after, I was like, no, that's not for me. I don't like this twist. I don't like where this is going. I don't like what it's implying. So I just kind of dropped the show after that. So for me, I gave this a 4 out of 10. I thought it started off good and then it really went downhill after. So, also it got really boring too once that twist happened, which I don't know how that happens. When you introduce a twist, it's supposed to make the story more interesting. And the fact that you just made it more boring just shows that it wasn't a good twist. So, this season's been goated, but these two, they've been like bottom of the barrel. I wouldn't recommend them, either of them. But if you want to see a good show that has a really good twist, not this show, I'd watch Plunderer. That's a really good show with a really great twist. Trust me, just watch it till the end and you'll know what I'm talking about. Or if you want a really good harem show that actually knows what it's doing, I would say actually watch Only the World God, or The World God Only Knows. I keep messing up that title, but that's a really good harem show, and it can, if you already watched this show and you're already disappointed like me, you can use that to rinse it out. But yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 10. It's bad. Bocchi the Rock. Probably, okay. For me, and I have to explain it. Look, it is an 8 out of 10. I understand how great it is. I understand why people like this show. However, I personally didn't feel the same way, so I didn't want to give this more credit than it's due. So it's lower on my list just because personally I didn't really vibe with this show. I didn't really enjoy the show as much as other people did, but that's not to say it's a bad show. So that's why it's still an 8 out of 10. It's just the lowest on my list in terms of all the good shows. But what do I have to say about this show? My favorite character is that girl who's like Bachira from Blue Lock, where she was just kind of crazy. She was the drunk in the show. I thought she was really funny because I just love that archetype where it's like you have the crazy mentor who is like always drunk or always like acting silly or crazy, and they actually turn out to be really wise and end up being like the foil for the main character, which I really do appreciate. And Bocchi as a character, I love Bocchi. I love the different art styles and sort of the animation changes with her character when she's like acting depressed or emoting or whatever. I thought that was really good, and I thought the music was also really good. I'm a big fan of K-On!, and I know that's slice of life music, which is kind of along the same lines of Bocchi, which is kind of the rock slice of life. But yeah, I think it's a really good show. Definitely check it out if you're into music or just interested in cute girls playing music. It's a great show. I know people who are big fans of it, and I understand why. Just not for me. So, My Hero Academia is... How do I put this? It is good, don't get me wrong. It is a great show. However, to me, I think My Hero Academia peaked with season 1 and 2. And from there, it's kind of been in a downward spiral. And the way I look at season 6, the first core at least, is it's starting to regain some of the greatness that was in earlier seasons, but has sort of drifted away. So I think there were so many cool reveals that I really appreciated. I like the focus more on the school and the students, and I like the stakes being elevated a lot more than earlier seasons. I also like sort of the progression of the villains. You feel like they're a threat in this season, much more so than in previous seasons. And so for me, I think it's a lot better. I think it's probably the best season after season 1 and 2. So it's going in the right direction. I just don't think it's on par with season 1 and 2 because those hold a special place in my heart, and they did things that I think the later seasons ended up straying away from, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. But again, I gave this an 8 out of 10. It is really good, and you should check it out if you're a big My Hero fan. Spy Family. Yes, you heard me right. There is no X in Spy Family. It is Spy Family. Spy Family has always been Spy Family. Just like Hunter x Hunter is Hunter x Hunter. Okay, now that's out of the way, let's talk about the season. Now, this is the second core. I think the first core happened earlier on, and I must say, I am a big fan of Spy Family. I think the animation's great, the world's great, the characters are great. I'm actually a really big fan of Yor, if you don't know. But aside from that, this season, I actually prefer the first core a lot more than the second core because I just felt like there was a lot more progression, which I'm a big fan of. I like serialized episodes more than like more episodic stories, just because I like progression. I love seeing characters grow and having like their stakes on sort of the characters going forward, and there's always changes going on. I'm a big fan of that. But anyways, besides the point, the first season had a lot more development in my opinion than the second one. Well, the second one was more fun and there was lots of great moments in the second core, don't get me wrong. I just thought the first one was better, but this show, I still recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite shows to come out recently, and you should definitely check it out if you're a big fan of spies, action, shonen, wholesomeness, family dynamics. If you want to see just a great family getting along, this is the show for you. Blue Lock. Okay, so you saw the World Cup and people were freaking out, and rightfully so, because Japan was going crazy. But I don't think people, when they realize like the craziness of Japanese soccer, truly understand it until they watch Blue Lock. You don't understand. I'm not a big fan of sports anime, yet this is high up on my list, beating Spy Family and My Hero. Now, don't get me wrong. There's so many great sports anime out there that I do appreciate, but this show does something unique with it. It adds stakes where it's almost life-threatening, because it is. What the show does is it introduces this premise where it puts the characters against each other in this sort of competition. But the way they do the competition and the penalty for losing that competition, I won't go into spoilers, but it has major stakes and ramifications on the characters. And you see that and you feel that. You feel the tension, you feel the urgency to succeed, to win, to beat opponents. And no other sports anime has really done this because they haven't had this premise. So if you're a big fan of just sports anime, to even shonen, if you're a big shonen guy, I highly recommend this. Even if you're not a big fan of sports or soccer in general, I think you should definitely check this out because, trust me, I wasn't thinking that much of it. My friends were recommending it to me. I caved in. I was like, okay, I'll watch this sports anime. And I actually really enjoyed it enough to put it on to be number 15 on my list. So 8 out of 10. Definitely check it out if you want to, if you're interested. Jojo Part 6. Probably one of the most anticipated anime for me this season, just because, one, I finished the manga, and the ending is the first time my mind has literally been broken. Like, I had to sit in my room after finishing the show and just look up at the ceiling, just thinking and contemplating what I just read. So, don't get me wrong, I was excited for this season, and they also had a live stream later on, which I was there for. I stayed up 4 hours into this live stream until they finally announced Part 6, and I was so happy because they were behind schedule. I thought it was going to end, and they just revealed it at the end, and I was so happy that we got there because so many people were excited for Part 6. We haven't heard news. We weren't even sure if the story was going to continue, and we eventually got the adaptation, and now it's here. So what did I think about JoJo Part 6? I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it is one of the best JoJo parts, one of my favorite JoJo parts, like, of all time. It literally has the best, one of the best JoJos, which is Jolene, fighting one of the best JoJo villains of all time, which is Impucci. And without delving into spoilers, the twists and turns of just this part in general really blew my mind, just in terms of like the stakes, sort of like most of the time you're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and for JoJo standards it's probably one of the most bizarre parts, and I think it's actually from this point on JoJo is actually going to get even more bizarre than it actually is, which is really funny if you think about it. But overall I think this season's great. It has lots of great characters like Food Fighters and Hermes. So if you're a big JoJo fan, definitely check this out. If you're a big anime fan, definitely check this out. Yeah, you should. JoJo's just awesome. So, yeah. Immoral Guild. Okay, hear me out. Okay, so this is a guilty pleasure of mine. I think the action's great, animation's great, main character's great. He has a really cool cloak, which, awesome. And, what else? Oh yeah, 8 out of 10. Urusei Yatsura. Now, I love 80s anime. 80s anime, I am a big fan of 80s, 90s. I genuinely think that is literally the perfect decade of just so many great anime that I still am watching to this day. And I was so happy to hear that this show was getting a remake just because I was a big fan of the original. And let me just say, they killed the animation. They literally killed it. It looks so good. I didn't think that this show was gonna require, the bar isn't that high, It's an old anime, you could just make it look a little bit nicer and people would have been happy. But they went above and beyond with it. The opening just slaps and just showcases just how awesome and chaotic this world is, which I love. And I just love the premise of just this alien girl just coming down. This guy kind of having the worst luck ever. They end up becoming betrothed because of a sequence of events, and the show takes off there because, that's just kind of the dynamic that's formed. But anyways, it's a great show. I definitely recommend it. It's probably one of my favorites now, and they really did the adaptation, the recent adaptation justice. So definitely check it out if you have the chance. More Than a Married Couple. So funny story. I made this list a while ago until I think it was like 3 episodes out, at least for this anime, and it severely went downhill for me. So it should actually be a 6 out of 10 instead of an 8 out of 10. So everything below this should be moved up a spot. So my bad. And Bocchi isn't the worst of sort of the quote-unquote good now, so I guess that's a good thing. But why do I think this show isn't the greatest? Well, it's just, to me, it's I'm a big fan of like romance / drama stories, specifically in anime. I think when it's done really, really well, I am a very, very happy person. I will carry that happiness for weeks to come. This happens when two of the characters I'm shipping end up together, where a girl that's working towards a dream, like a female character or male character, are working hard towards a dream and they achieve it. That gives me the greatest feeling in the world. And this show it's not really a harem, it's more of a love triangle going on. And I think it started off great, but near the end, I think there were a couple missteps and I kind of lost interest sort of in its production. I don't think this show is really gonna go anywhere anytime soon, because I tried to look up the ending on the manga ending, and they are still publishing volumes, so they don't really know, I think, yet what's gonna happen. But I still give this a 6 out of 10. I would watch it if you are vaguely interested, but for me personally, I think it was a big letdown later on. If you like this video and you want to see more, please hit the like button and please subscribe to my channel. We're already at 35 subscribers, which is crazy enough that I just built this off shorts, but you guys seem to like what I do. So if you want to see more long form content, please let me know in the comments below. And I have a Twitter and Instagram, so if you want to stay updated on some of the fun things I do and some tweets I post, please follow those. They're at Seyorias, same with my YouTube channel. My name is Seyorias, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.